Unfortunately, all good things will come to an end. And for today's story, it's time to show you guys the end of my 2017 summer vacation. There were highs and there were lows, but there was one thing that I didn't think would re-emerge within my last day of the trip. I'll explain all of that and more right here on the next episode of the Coaster Scout Stories. Hello everyone, I'm David from the Coaster Scouts, and as a continuation of my summer vacation of 2017, it's time to share my final day of my summer vacation of 2017. So with that, let's get into it. The date was August 12th, 2017. My family and I got up very early to go to Holiday World as soon as possible, and with us being who we are, we were able to get there within about, let's say, 1 to 2 hours before the park even opened. So with that spare time available, we went straight over to a small museum with Santa Claus, Indiana. This is based upon Santa Claus, the origins of the town and how it was built at that point. And with that, there was also some other type of attractions right between that museum and the thing right around the museum. We had a statue of Mr. Santa Claus. There was a small church that was right next to it, but there's also a mailbox place for kids to send their mails to Santa along that route. We checked out every single piece of those attractions as quickly as possible. Well, I did. Because I was the coaster enthusiast. I saw all those big coasters like, oh, I just need to go there, But the family was just more humble for being in that place than for me. I was just itching to go to Holiday World and was rather impatient. But in all seriousness, it was still nice to see those pieces, and I think one thing that was very outstanding for me was that they had this wall of celebrities that actually came to the town, and for me, I didn't know who these people were really. These were more of my parents' era, so they gave me the information. I just didn't know them off the top of my head. But eventually, my family dropped me off at Holiday World while they went off doing their own small little attraction hunting pieces, things like that. When I got to Holiday World, I was still there before the whole park was opened. There was a huge group of people that was all stuck around the Santa Claus section of the park, and I think for me, I was standing there for roughly about 30-40 minutes at most until the full park opened, and from then on, I just did my best to get my things done, which was ride all of the roller coasters at Holiday World as I possibly could. I was actually able to go on every single one of the roller coasters on there. I did at Holiday World. I got on the Legend first, did Holly Dog, and did the Raven. Did all those once, while I did the Voyage and Thunderbird. I rode those twice. And for me, I wish I would have done more rides with them, but unfortunately my family and I did a little plan where we needed me to at least stop doing my visit around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The reason for that was because we wanted to get back home right around the late evening, so that way they didn't have to stay another day, and it was just more convenient for travel for us, even at my own little expense. And that was okay. I know my wishes don't always come true, and I have to deal with that. I dealt with the parameters as much as I could. And I'm supposed to say with that, the most interesting piece of my last trip was actually about me going up and towards my second ride on the Voyage at Holiday World. I was in the queue to be on the front row of the roller coaster when all of a sudden I see the ride operator actually yelling at somebody on the train that's going up the lift hill. As it turns out, there was a rider on that roller coaster car that actually had their phone out. And according to Holiday World's rules, this is a no-no. You can't have any phones or recording software like video cameras on the roller coaster itself without express permission. And with that, the ride operator knew that they weren't doing it immediately, so they hit the emergency stop button on the panel. So that way the chain stopped going and the roller coaster rolled back into the anti-rollback device. And with this part, I'd like to diverge from the story to give you guys a little more of my own self in this perspective. As many of people from my Boy Scouts have often known, and some people you guys might not know right now, is that many have considered me as Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, the man that tries to do everything right as much as possible and follow the rules accordingly. This was a persona, or at least a characteristic of mine that I've developed when I was in Boy Scouts that I've curated over the years. And it's a virtue that I believe is best for me. Try to follow rules, do the best thing I can, and help anybody else as much as I can. It's things that I've learned as young and things that I like to stick to from here on out. I know the Goody Two-Shoes people are often put in a little bit of a bad light because we do things too much and probably annoy other people. But by the time I was there, I just want to make sure that I followed the rules and I did what I was supposed to do because I wanted to have a fun time at the park. I didn't want to have any bad things happen to myself or other people around me, and I'd like to do a little bit of help as much as I could. And with that, I wanted to note that doing stuff like this is, excuse me for one moment. And with this, I'd like to take a stand on what I'd like to share with you guys, is that amusement parks all across the United States and the world have rules to keep us safe, to at least help us have a good time while also being safe while doing it. And one of those rules is making sure that we don't have cameras like photo cameras or video cameras on the ride that are not without consent. You are not supposed to have those on the rides because those are dangerous. And I say they are dangerous because if you drop one on the roller coaster, like a track or something that could damage it, that could damage the car, which could cause danger to all the other passengers on that train. I mean, with this, I'm thinking of that scene with Final Destination 3. While I have not seen the movie, I know that's one of the reasons why the roller coaster destroys itself and why the people die on that thing is because one man let go of the camera and it hits, and I was hitting that camera with the roller coaster car was the beginning of the chain events. And I know life doesn't imitate movies, but I certainly believe that it's best to be safe rather than sorry in these situations. And with those, I'd like to say, if there are people out there who think they can just get an easy POV and think they can get away with it, think again. Every single roller coaster within the United States, based upon what I've seen, is that they have cameras all over the ride course. I noticed it specifically with the Voyage, with the ride operations table. They have cameras all over the ride course, so like brake runs, lift hills, certain parts of the track that aren't even those. Like, there are places where they will see you with that camera, and when they see you with that camera, they'll catch you. They'll catch you any way you can. And with that, I'd like to note that there are severe consequences for breaking park rules. Many of these will often result with you being kicked out of the park, having them confiscate your tickets, your season pass, and they could forbid you from going to that park ever again. And all those situations are very bad for you. It leaves a bad impression on yourself, your experience, and that's something that I believe you guys should never have. Or you can go far worse with this situation and you could be prosecuted. They have the ability to prosecute you if you break their rules. And with something like that, I really don't think that this should be happening to you guys at all or to myself. And that's the reason why with this YouTube channel, I will never have POV videos without consent from the staff. Those guys are the ones that are the gatekeepers. And even then, I still believe that it's not going to be good for me to have POVs on my channel because it breaks park rules, in my opinion, and that's something I don't want to do. And with that, there are things that I still want to work on for keeping you guys safe. And that's what I want to say for you guys, is just do your best to follow park rules. They are there for your safety, they are there for your security, and they're there for you to have a fun time. But I've gone a little bit too far with this, and I'd like to bring us back towards the story. I just want to make sure that I got that point out to the rest of you guys, so that way we keep ourselves safe out at amusement parks. And with that, I'd like to say it took about a few minutes before the rider complied with the ride operator's directions. And with that, the ride went on, they went through, they had security people at the end of the gate, and they got him, and they had to take him out. As I was boarding the next train coming into the station, I felt that they did a good job, like the ride operator did a good job of keeping people safe. And I wanted to acknowledge them for that. So then I actually told the person that was right next to me with the staffer to tell the ride operator that she did a good job. He relayed the message, and me and her gave her own little exchanges, just saying giving her a thank you for that, and she was very gracious of my compliments and made sure I showed her my stance is that we needed to be safe around these rides rather than breaking rules and possibly harming somebody in the process. And from that, it was great to at least experience these rides with myself. I'd say, I think Hearing Voyage was probably one of the best wooden roller coasters out there. It was good that I was able to experience Thunderbird, experience the Legend, experience the Raven, experience Holly Dog roller coaster. I think all of them were fun to ride for sure. And for me, it was a great experience to have. That once I got through my second ride on the Voyage, I finished up my little rides, had my own little lunch, and from then on I went back to the front of the park and left at around 4 o'clock, as predicted, as planned. And from there, I was able to catch up with my family right at the parking lot. They picked me up and we went straight home. For myself, I had some pretty nasty canned sausages for dinner. Just the sauce on it, it was disgusting. Didn't like it at all. But I was lucky enough to have some Gatorade to drink on the way there. I think we drove for about like 4 or 5 hours, and up until we got back home, and I think we got back here at around 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening as planned. And for me, that's my story, my final day of my trip to Holiday World. It was a fun experience. It was wonderful, and it was great. I think it was weird to actually see that experience on my queue in the second ride on the Voyage. There was some points in that part where I was a little bit annoyed with the park, the rider on that area, because he was breaking the rules. He was doing things he wasn't supposed to do, and it was becoming a very big inconvenience for us, but that inconvenience was very necessary. I understand it now more than ever. And with that, I'd also like to give some time to say it's been wonderful doing this whole summer experience. If you guys want to see it from start to finish, I have it all laid out in my Coaster Scout Stories playlist on this channel. If you're new to the Coaster Scouts YouTube channel, this is your first video viewing, I highly recommend that you subscribe to this channel. I do stories like these I do stories like these to showcase the experiences that I had with various amusement parks, things that stood out the most, like, that stood out to me, like the person breaking the rules, doing a surprise trip to Kentucky Kingdom that I probably thought it would never happen, visiting Larry Bird's hometown. It was just wonderful, and doing more events like that. I also am doing a opinion series on amusement parks roller coasters called A Tall Man's Perspective. You'll see my full framework and things that I think are good, rides are good, parks are good, which ones are bad, and things of that nature. And from there on, I work on doing something just similar, or just do something different in between those two series, just to break things up and have a good small order. I know from here it was just a little bit messy, but I thought it was best to chop up the last story into 2 pieces just to make things a little bit better and a little easier to manage. I personally would like to get some more comments on my videos. I think for me, I haven't gotten any comments within these past few videos, and for me, commentary from you guys is the first step to helping me improve my channel. I don't know what I can do better if I don't get feedback from others, because oftentimes I do these with videos with the best care that I possibly can, but my viewpoint isn't exactly good enough. I'd like to have more perspectives from other people to see what's good, what's bad, what areas should I improve on, and hopefully get better and better throughout these years. As a small bit of gratitude, I still want to say, well, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being a subscriber on the Coaster Scouts if you are. I'm just grateful that I have 16 people subscribed to my channel. But with this month fastly coming to a close, I'd like to challenge the newcomers and everybody here to see if we can reach 20 subscribers. I think this is a very attainable goal, and I'd like to see this happen within the next couple of weeks. Nonetheless, I just want to give a big thank you to you all for watching the video, and I'll be ready for a new one within the next week. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. In continuation, for the people new to this channel, I do post videos within every week. I try to do these videos every Monday, just because when I was a Boy Scout I had meetings every Monday night, so it's simpler for me to do, and it's a good schedule for me to have. If you guys are quite curious, I do have a new haircut. I call it the Freddy look because one of my older friends used to cut hair short. But nonetheless, I'd like to give an end to this video, and I say thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!